జేఈఈ మెయిన్స్ 2020 మొదటి ప్రయత్నంలోనే 45 మంది విద్యార్థులకు గాను 36 మంది విద్యార్థులు ఐఐటి అడ్వాన్స్డ్ కి అర్హత సాధించి అత్యద్భుతమైన ప్రతిభను సామాన్యమైన విద్యార్థుల ద్వారా నిరూపించిన ఏకైక విద్యా సంస్థ
కృష్ణమూర్తి ఐఐటి అండ్ నీట్ అకాడమీ నెల్లూరు.
Good morning, children. Yesterday we have seen about human respiratory organs. So in that human respiratory organ, lungs are the main human respiratory organs which occupy most of the place in the chest cavity. Two lungs are present. One is right, another one is left. Right lung consists of 3 lobes. Left lung consists of 2 lobes. Right lung is larger than the left lung, and towards the left lung a small notch is present. That notch is called cardiac notch, where heart is located towards the left lung, and both the lungs are covered with a membrane called pleura membrane. Between these pleura membrane a cavity is present. That cavity is called pleural cavity. Pleural cavity is filled with pleural fluid which reduces the friction of the lung. And also we have seen these lungs consists of 2 parts. One is conducting part, another one is respiratory part or a exchange part. Conducting part comes, that is starts from a external nostrils, that is chambers, nasal chambers, nasopharynx, larynx, trachea to that is bronchi and bronchioles. Whereas the conducting or respiratory part occurs in alveolar ducts, alveoli towards the blood. So conducting part conducts just conducts the atmospheric air into the bronchioles. Whereas the respiratory part or exchange part happens in the alveoli, that is the air sac, where exchange of gases takes place between the air sacs and the blood vessels. So that is the function of lungs. And also I have said lungs are located in airtight chambers which are protected in such a way that is dorsally vertebral column is present, ventrally sternum is there, lateral side ribs are present, whereas towards the posterior side we have seen a dome shaped structure called a diaphragm. So this makes the pulmonary pressure to increase or reduce because of this the thoracic cavity. So today we will see about the mechanism of respiration, how respiration takes place. So before going to the mechanism of respiration, we will see what are the steps involved in respiration. So if you see the steps involved in respiration, the steps involved in respiration, first one is breathing. So breathing, the first step in respiration is breathing. So how breathing? What is meant by breathing? So breathing is oxygen getting in and carbon dioxide coming out is called breathing. So breathing in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide is called breathing. So breathing is the first step in mechanism of respiration. The second one is exchange, or we can call as diffusion. Diffusion of gases. The second step is diffusion. So where the diffusion occurs, mostly oxygen or carbon dioxide diffuses in the way of simple diffusion. So this diffusion is nothing but the oxygen which is present in the air sac diffuses into the blood capillaries. So the second step which involves in respiration is diffusion. Diffusion occurs between alveoli and blood capillaries. Alveoli and blood capillaries. That is the second step. After diffusion, exchange of gases. The next step is exchange of gases. So what are the gases exchanged? The alveoli which consists of carbon dioxide, the blood capillaries which consists of carbon dioxide, enters to the alveoli, and the oxygen which is present in the alveoli enters to the blood capillary. So exchange of gases takes place after diffusion of carbon dioxide and oxygen, that is between alveoli and blood capillaries. Now, exchange of gases takes place. So, exchange takes place between alveoli and blood capillaries. The alveoli, which consists of oxygen, oxygen, whereas the blood capillaries consists of carbon dioxide. So the oxygen enters to the blood capillaries, whereas the blood capillaries which has carbon dioxide enters to the alveoli. So in this way the exchange of gases takes place. The third step in respiration is transport of gases. Transport of gases. So transport of gases occurs after exchange of gases, the blood capillaries blood capillaries which consists of oxygen, oxygen transports to the tissues, transports to the tissues. So transport of gases. The next step is again diffusion. The next step involved in respiration is the diffusion. After oxygen entering to the tissues, now the oxygen which is supplied after entering into this, after the blood capillaries taking oxygen near the tissues, this oxygen which is present in the blood capillaries diffuses into the tissues, and the carbon dioxide which is present in the tissues enters to the blood capillary. So in this way diffusion occurs between tissues, tissues and capillaries, tissues and capillaries. And the last one is utilization. Last one is the utilization. So utilization occurs between blood capillaries and cells, blood capillaries and cells. So what happens here is during utilization, the blood capillaries which are taking oxygen towards the cell grasps or takes the oxygen present in the blood capillaries and utilizes the oxygen for metabolic activities, or we can say catabolic process. Catabolic process. Catabolic process means what? Consuming the energy or oxidizing the oxygen present inside the blood capillaries, oxidizing and liberating the energy. That process we are calling as catabolic process, or we can call as cellular respiration also. Cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is nothing but utilizing the energy by the cell through catabolic process is called cellular respiration. So in this way, these are the steps which are involved in a respiration. What are the steps? Breathing in oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. Diffusion, after entering the oxygen into the air sacs, diffuses through the alveolar membrane. Then exchange of gases occurs between the blood capillaries and the air sacs. Transports, the blood capillaries after exchanging transports the oxygen towards the tissues. Then after tissue entering the blood, after entering this oxygen into the blood, it transports to that, and after transporting it diffuses into the cells. After entering into the cells, the oxygen is utilized by the cell by cellular respiration. These are the steps involved in respiration. Now we will see about the mechanism of respiration. So what happens in the mechanism of respiration? So the mainly mechanism of breathing, or we can call as mechanism of respiration or mechanism of breathing. So what is meant by respiration or breathing? So the mechanism is the maximum amount of gaseous exchange between Atmospheric air and lungs is called breathing, or other term we can call as respiration also. So whatever, so before going to the mechanism of respiration, we will see what is meant by breathing or respiration. That is nothing but maximum amount of exchange of gases, maximum amount of exchange of gases. What are the gases? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Maximum amount of exchange of gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide, between which parts? Between lungs and atmospheric air. Between lungs and atmospheric air is called breathing. It's called a breathing. So maximum amount of gaseous exchange between lungs and atmospheric air is called breathing. So breathing involves two processes. What are the two processes? Breathing involves two processes. So the two processes which involves in breathing is, one is inspiration, and another one is expiration. Inspiration and expiration are the two processes which involves in breathing. So for inspiration and expiration, what happens? So inspiration and expiration both occurs basing on the potential, or we can say basing on the gradient pressure exerted by the lung. So what is meant by gradient pressure? So this both process, which are the both process? Inspiration as well as expiration, both occurs basing on the gradient pressure. Both occurs basing on the gradient pressure exerted by lungs and atmospheric air. So what is meant by gradient pressure? The pressure which is exerted by the gases present in the lungs is called gradient pressure. So this gradient pressure may be of different ways. So how this gradient pressure is exerted? So that is gaseous exchange between lungs and atmospheric air depends upon the gradient pressure. So how this gradient pressure is exerted? So this gradient pressure is of a positive way and negative way, or we can say it occurs by active process or it occurs by passive process. So which is active process is inspiration is the active process, whereas expiration is the passive process. So how this gradient pressure occurs? So gradient pressure occurs because of the pressure which is created inside the lungs. That we can call as the intrapulmonary pressure. Intrapulmonary pressure. It occurs by intrapulmonary pressure. Intrapulmonary pressure. So what is meant by intrapulmonary pressure? The pressure which is exerted by the lungs, that is inside the lungs. So that is exchange of gases takes place depends upon the gradient pressure. Gradient pressure is nothing but the intrapulmonary pressure which is exerted in the lungs. So how this intrapulmonary pressure is exerted inside the lungs? So intrapulmonary pressure is nothing but the pressure which is exerted by the lungs, which is exerted by the lungs. So how this intrapulmonary pressure is created? So how this intrapulmonary pressure is created is, suppose for this we will see that there are some kind of muscles which helps to create the intrapulmonary pressure for exerting in the lungs. So what are the muscles which create the intrapulmonary pressure? So the muscles which create the intrapulmonary pressure or gradient pressure which is exerted in the lungs is, first part is a diaphragm. First part is a diaphragm. So what is diaphragm? Diaphragm is a dome-shaped dome-shaped elastic structure, dome-shaped elastic structure which is present in the abdominal region, which is present in the abdominal region, or we can say which is present towards the posterior part of the lungs. So diaphragm is the dome-shaped elastic structure which is present below the lungs or which is present in the abdominal region. So because of this diaphragm is made up of with a muscles called phrenic muscles. Phrenic muscles. So with what muscles the diaphragm is made up of? Diaphragm is made up of with phrenic muscles. So how this diaphragm helps for intrapulmonary pressure is the diaphragm has an elastic nature, he said. So because of the contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm, that is the muscles, phrenic muscles which are present in the diaphragm can contract and relax. Because of the contraction and relaxation of these diaphragm muscles, the interpulmonary pressure can increase or decrease. That is one of the reasons how this gaseous exchange occurs in the lungs. Another one is muscles present between the ribs. Already I have said children, that is thoracic cavity is covered with lateral sides by ribs, we said. That is the ribs. So between these ribs, 12 pairs of ribs are present. Between these ribs, muscles are present. What are the muscles present between the ribs? That is, each and every rib has little bit space. That space is covered with the muscles. The muscles which are present between the spaces of the ribs are called intercostal muscles. Intercostal muscles. Intercostal muscles. What are intercostal muscles? The muscle which is present between the spaces of each and every rib is called intercostal muscles. So these intercostal muscles are of two types. Intercostal muscles are two types of intercostal muscles are there. What are the two types of intercostal muscles is? That is internal intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscles. So two kinds of intercostal muscles are present. The two types of intercostal muscles are internal intracostal muscles, that is which are located or which are towards the inside of the rib cage. External intracostal muscles. External intracostal muscles are present outside of the rib cage. So these both are the muscles which help for the intrapulmonary pressure. That is because of the contraction of these muscles also, the intrapulmonary pressure may be increased or decreased. So now we will see how this inspiration and expiration occurs with the help of diaphragm, by the contraction of diaphragm or relaxation of diaphragm, or because of the contraction of intercostal muscles which are present between the ribs. Whether the inspiration occurs really depend on this, or expiration depends on this. Now we will see how this occurs. So the first process is inspiration. The first one is the first mechanism in respiration is inspiration. So first, what is inspiration? Inspiration is breathing in oxygen is called inspiration. Breathing in oxygen or inhaling in oxygen. Inhaling in oxygen. So how much percentage of oxygen is present in the atmosphere? 21% of oxygen is present in the atmosphere. So breathing in oxygen is called inspiration. So how this inspiration occurs? So how this inspiration occurs is During inspiration, what we have to say during inspiration, this inspiration depends upon the gradient pressure. So gradient pressure is the pressure which is present in the atmospheric pressure. That must be more than the pressure which is present in the lungs. So inspiration occurs. Inspiration is nothing but inhaling oxygen into the lungs is called inspiration. Inspiration depends upon or
జేఈఈ మెయిన్స్ 2020 మొదటి ప్రయత్నంలోనే 45 మంది విద్యార్థులకు గాను 36 మంది విద్యార్థులు ఐఐటి అడ్వాన్స్డ్ కి అర్హత సాధించి అత్యద్భుతమైన ప్రతిభను సామాన్యమైన విద్యార్థుల ద్వారా నిరూపించిన ఏకైక విద్యా సంస్థ
కృష్ణమూర్తి ఐఐటి అండ్ నీట్ అకాడమీ నెల్లూరు.
Inspiration is an active process. Which inspiration is an active process? This active process depends upon when the intrapulmonary pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. The intrapulmonary pressure must be less than the atmospheric pressure, then inspiration occurs. So how this intrapulmonary pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure? So how it is occurring is, so during inspiration, the diaphragm contracts. Diaphragm contracts. That is the muscles present in the diaphragm contracts. So when the diaphragm contracts, what happens? The lungs, that is, the lungs expands in size. Lungs expand. Lungs are spongy in nature. Already while saying about the lungs, I said lungs are spongy in nature. They can expand to some extent. So diaphragm contracts. Diaphragm contracts. When diaphragm contracts, lungs expand. So how lungs expand means lungs expand towards anterior-posterior axis. Anterior-posterior axis. Lungs expand towards anterior-posterior axis. So important children, important bit. So lungs expand, diaphragm contracts, lungs expand. So in which direction the lungs expand is anterior-posterior axis. Now what happens? Now we will see about the muscles. The intercostal muscles. Which intercostal muscles? The external intercostal muscles. External intercostal muscles. External intercostal muscles which are present between the ribs contract. So when they are contracted, now automatically what happens? The ribs as well as the sternum expand. So because of internal costal muscles contracting, because of the intercostal, that is external intercostal muscles contracting, the ribs, that is thoracic cavity, or we can call as thoracic ribs, expand. Along with this thoracic ribs, even sternum also expand. Thoracic ribs expand, thoracic ribs and sternum. Where is sternum, children? Sternum is located towards the ventral side of the lungs. So thoracic ribs as well as sternum expand. So because of expanding, what happens? In which direction this expands is, this expands towards the dorsoventral in axis. Dorsoventral position. So they expand towards dorsoventral position. So totally what happens? The thoracic cavity increases in size, the lungs increases in size. When lungs increases in size, the pulmonary pressure which is present inside the lungs also decreases. The pulmonary pressure decreases. Pulmonary pressure. What is meant by pulmonary pressure? The pressure which is exerted inside the lungs is called pulmonary pressure. So the pulmonary pressure decreases. Why pulmonary pressure is decreasing? Because of the chest cavity increasing. Now the lungs expand so that the pressure decreases. So automatically when pressure decreases, interpulmonary pressure. So interpulmonary pressure decreases. Interpulmonary pressure decreases. So because of interpulmonary pressure decreasing, now we have to compare the pressure which is created inside the lungs and the pressure which is present outside. Outside means the atmospheric pressure. So which pressure is more when compared to the pressure exerted in the lungs? In the lungs, the pulmonary pressure is less when compared with atmospheric pressure. So automatically air rushes from outside to lungs because of already that diffusion, we know that diffusion occurs from high pressure to low pressure. So automatically the atmospheric pressure which is more the atmospheric pressure which is more in the atmosphere enters into the lungs where the lungs have less pulmonary pressure. So in this way the inspiration occurs. So inspiration occurs because of the contraction of the muscles. So how this contraction of the muscles occurs is the diaphragm contracts, and diaphragm contracts now that is the diaphragm is a dome shaped structure which is made up of the phrenic muscle. It contracts because of contraction. This the lungs expand in size. Which direction the lungs expand in size is anterior posterior axis. This both we have to remember, children. Anterior posterior axis expands or direction will be expand only because of the diaphragm contraction. Another one is what dorsoventral position. Dorsoventral position axis also expands or the lungs expand towards the dorsoventral position because of the contraction of external intercostal muscles. So these both you should remember, children. So like this the diaphragm contraction, this anterior posterior axis the lungs expand. Now the next muscles are intercostal muscles. The external intercostal muscles. Where are external intercostal muscles? External intercostal muscles are facing towards the ribs, that is outside the ribs. These external intercostal muscles which are present towards the outside the ribs contract. When these muscles contract, the ribs expand in size. Automatically when ribs expand, little bit cavity, the thoracic cavity expands. When thoracic cavity expands, sternum also increases. Increases means sternum also rises up. And sternum rises up, now the thoracic cavity, the size of thoracic cavity increases. When size of thoracic cavity increases, the lungs expand in size towards the dorsoventral position. After increasing this, now the pressure which is present inside the lungs decreases. That is, pulmonary pressure will be less than the atmospheric pressure. When pulmonary pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure, automatically the atmospheric air rushes into the lungs. It rushes into the lungs, whereas the pulmonary pressure in the atmosphere is more when compared with the pulmonary pressure present or exerted inside the lungs. So this is called inspiration, which occurs in an active process. The next process is called expiration. The next process is called expiration. Now we'll see what is meant by expiration. So expiration is sending out carbon dioxide or exhaling out carbon dioxide is called expiration. Sending out carbon dioxide. Second one is expiration. Second one is expiration. Expiration is exhaling carbon dioxide, exhaling carbon dioxide or sending out carbon dioxide is called expiration. Expiration is a passive process. Expiration is a passive process. So how this passive process occurs? Now, what are the structures I said which are involved in the mechanism of respiration? The two structures which involves in the mechanism of respiration is diaphragm, another one is intercostal muscle. Now, already in inspiration we have seen the diaphragm is in contraction stage. Now, the phrenic muscles which are present in the diaphragm, relaxes, which are present in the diaphragm relax. So the diaphragm relax means it comes to the normal shape called dome shape. It comes to the normal shape called a dome shape. So when the diaphragm comes to the normal shape, the lungs in inspiration we have seen they expand because of the contraction of diaphragm. But when the diaphragm relaxes, the lungs which are expanded relaxes. So lungs relaxes. Lungs relaxes because of diaphragm relaxing. That means the lungs comes to the normal position because, or we can say lungs has expanded. Now lungs contract because of diaphragm coming to the normal shape or diaphragm coming to the relaxed stage. So lungs relax means lungs contracts. Lungs contracts are comes to the original shape. Comes to the original shape. So when comes to the original shape, the next muscles is that is the intercostal muscle. So the external intercostal muscles, external, external intercostal muscles, intercostal muscles. This external intercostal muscles also relaxes, relaxes. Relaxes means in inspiration we have seen during inspiration all these things have contracted. The second time that is in expiration, the muscles which have contracted must come to the original position by relaxing. So in expiration all these muscles will relax. Now the external intercostal muscles relaxes and come to the normal position. When these muscles relaxes, the sternum comes to the normal position. Which of the things comes to the normal position? Ribs comes to the normal position. Sternum comes to the normal position so that the thoracic cavity thoracic cavity reduces in size, that is reduces in size means thoracic cavities thoracic cavity the space, that is thoracic cavity size also reduces. So because of this reducing, lungs comes to the normal position and pressure will be exerted inside the lungs. Pressure exert because of diaphragm relaxing, because of the intercostal muscles relaxing, the thoracic cavity will reduces. The thoracic cavity decrease in size. So when thoracic cavity decrease in size, lungs also decreases. Lungs size also decreases. When lungs size decrease, what will be increased? Pulmonary pressure is increased. Pulmonary pressure is increased. Pulmonary pressure increases. Pulmonary pressure, this remember children important. Pulmonary pressure increases. How pulmonary pressure increases? Pulmonary pressure increases in the lungs because of the thoracic cavity decrease in size by the contraction of phrenic muscles and intercostal muscles. Whereas in inspiration, when we compare with inspiration and expiration, in inspiration, pulmonary pressure decreased. It decreased because of the contraction of the phrenic muscles and intercostal muscles. So that the atmospheric pressure was more when compared with the pressure exerted in the lungs. But here, carbon dioxide which is present in the lungs must be pushed out. or must be sent out. How it is sent out? When it is sent out, when the pressure inside the lungs will be more. So how the pressure becomes more is because of the relaxation of these muscles only. So these muscles contract and pulmonary pressure increases inside the lungs when compared with the atmospheric pressure. When compared with the atmospheric pressure. So how the atmospheric pressure will be? The atmospheric pressure will be less when compared with the pressure exerted inside the lungs. So automatically the pressure increases in the lungs and carbon dioxide is exhaled out. Carbon dioxide is exhaled out. So in this way, the inspiration and expiration occurs inside the lungs. This is about the mechanism of a respiration. Now, just I'll show in the form of flowchart, children. Suppose inspiration. So, how inspiration occurs? First, in the inspiration, what happens? Diaphragm contracts. Diaphragm contracts. Or you can write as phrenic muscles contract. Diaphragm contracts. After diaphragm contracting, external intercostal muscles contract. So what cavity will be increased? Thoracic cavity will be increased. Thoracic cavity increases. Thoracic cavity increases. So when thoracic cavity increases, which expands? Lungs expand. Lungs expand. When lungs expand, what happened to the pulmonary pressure? Pulmonary pressure decreases. Pulmonary pressure decreases. Automatically, when pulmonary pressure decreases, oxygen enters inside. So in this way, inspiration occurs. So when we see the expiration process, in expiration, what happens? Diaphragm relaxes. Diaphragm relaxes. Diaphragm relaxes. The diaphragm relaxes automatically. That is relaxes means it comes to the dome shape. It comes to the original shape or a dome shape. When diaphragm relaxes, the external intercostal muscle comes to the normal position. Even this also relaxes. So, which cavity is reduced? Thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity reduces. Thoracic cavity reduces. Lungs, we can see the size of the lungs decreases. Which increases here? Pulmonary pressure increases. Pulmonary pressure increases, and which is pushed out? CO2 is pushed out. So in this way, inspiration and expiration occurs. This is the mechanism of respiration. Now we will see about the respiratory volumes. So after mechanism of respiration, respiratory volumes. What are respiratory volumes? So for normal inspiration and expiration, respiratory volumes.
జేఈఈ మెయిన్స్ 2020 మొదటి ప్రయత్నంలోనే 45 మంది విద్యార్థులకు గాను 36 మంది విద్యార్థులు ఐఐటి అడ్వాన్స్డ్ కి అర్హత సాధించి అత్యద్భుతమైన ప్రతిభను సామాన్యమైన విద్యార్థుల ద్వారా నిరూపించిన ఏకైక విద్యా సంస్థ
కృష్ణమూర్తి ఐఐటి అండ్ నీట్ అకాడమీ నెల్లూరు.
Respiratory volumes. For normal inspiration and expiration, the muscles which are present near to the lungs, or that is diaphragm muscles and intercostal muscles, are enough for normal inspiration and expiration. But sometimes, but for additional volume, when we have to inhale more amount of oxygen, or when we have to exhale more amount of oxygen, by using with the help of some other muscles, we can increase the respiratory volumes. So how to increase the respiratory volumes is, there are two kinds of muscles which increases the respiratory volumes. Very important, children. Respiratory volumes itself is very important. Definitely one niche bit will come from this respiratory volume. So how to increase the respiratory volumes? By using additional muscles. What are the additional muscles? That is additional muscles which helps for the which helps the respiratory volumes to increase, that is inhaling or exhaling. So the additional muscles which are present in our body, which helps for the additional inhalation and exhalation is, that is abdominal muscles. Abdominal. Which abdominal muscles? Lateral abdominal muscles. Lateral abdominal muscles. With lateral abdominal muscle, and another one is with lateral abdominal muscle. Another one is internal intercostal muscles. Internal intercostal muscles. Already I have said, while saying about the intercostal muscles, I have said intercostal muscles are of two types. One is external intercostal muscles, another one is internal intercostal muscles. External intercostal muscles help for the normal breathing, that is for a inspiration and expiration. But whereas for additional breathing means more amount of, when we are doing large amount of work, we need more amount of energy. More amount of energy has to be needed for the body, or has to be supplied for the cell, is extra respiration is required. So for that extra respiration, we use this additional muscle. That additional muscle is lateral abdominal muscles and internal intercostal muscles. So what is the use of these muscles is, we can increase the respiratory volumes when our body needs more amount of oxygen for oxidizing the food material. A normal human being breathes 12 to 16 times per minute. 12 to 16 times per minute. So how many minutes a person breathes normally per minute? A human being breathes 12 to 16 times per minute. So this volume of breathing can be measured by an instrument called spirometer. What is meant by spirometer? Spirometer is used to measure the volume of breathing. Volume of breathing. So what is the instrument which is used to find out the breathing is spirometer. Spirometer is the instrument which is used to check the breathing, that is inhalation and exhalation. A normal human being breathes 12 to 16 times. But here now what we have to see is, by using the spirometer we can find the breathing. But there are some other, I said, respiratory volumes. So for finding the respiratory volumes, by using the respiratory volumes, we can find the respiratory capacities for diagnosing in clinical laboratory also. But before going to that, we will see what are respiratory volumes. So the first respiratory volume is very important, children. Definitely one bit will come. Tidal volume. First one is the tidal volume. So tidal volume, respiratory volume. First volume is tidal volume. Volume of air a person inhale or exhale. A person inhale or exhale during normal breathing. During normal inspiration and expiration is called tidal volume. So tidal volume is volume of air, volume of air, volume of air a person a person inhale, a person inhale and exhale. A person inhale or okay, respiratory volumes. The first volume is tidal volume. Tidal volume is the volume of air, the volume of air a person inhales or a person inhales or exhales during normal inspiration and expiration. Normal inspiration and expiration. Normal inspiration and expiration is called tidal volume. Once again, see children, the volume of air a person inhales or exhales during normal inspiration and expiration is called tidal volume. So tidal volume, these values are very important. You have to remember the values. So the tidal volume ranges from the tidal volume is 500 ml. Tidal volume is 500 ml. But a healthy human being or a healthy man can breathe or exhale, or a healthy man can inhale or exhale nearly 6,000 ml to 8,000 ml per minute. 6,000 to 8,000 ml per minute. But the normal tidal volume is 500 ml. Next one is inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory. Next one is inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume. So inspiratory reserve volume is the maximum amount of the maximum volume of air, a person can inspire after forced expiration. Forced expiration, inspiratory reserved volume. That is the maximum volume of air. Maximum volume of air a person can inspire. A person can inspire after forced expiration. Forced expiration is called inspiratory reserve volume. So what will be the inspiratory reserve volume? The inspiratory reserve volume ranges from 2,500 ml to 3,000 ml. 3,000 ml. So very important children, remember the volumes of these because sometimes they may ask in the form of problems also. So it is 3,000 ml. Next one is expiratory reserve volume. Expiratory reserve volume, or we can call as ERV. ERV. So expiratory reserve volume. So expiratory reserve volume is the maximum volume of air, maximum volume of air, maximum volume of air that can be expired after forced inspiration. After forced inspiration. After forced inspiration is called expiratory reserve volume. Expiratory reserve volume is expiratory reserve maximum volume of air that can be expired out after forced inspiration additional to the tidal volume. Additional to the tidal volume, that volume is called expiratory reserve volume. The expiratory reserve volume ranges from 1000 ml to 1100 ml. 1000 ml to 1100 ml. And the last volume is residual volume. Last volume is a residual volume. So residual volume is the amount of the volume of air volume of air present in the lungs, present in the volume of air present in the lungs after normal expiration. After normal expiration is called, after normal expiration is called residual volume. Is called a residual. Residual volume is how much amount of air is present in the lungs after expiration. That is called residual volume. So residual volume ranges between 1100 ml to 1100 ml to 1200 ml. 1100 ml to 1200 ml. So these volumes are very important. Remember children, because basing on these volumes, we have to get the capacities of these respiratory volumes. So applying these respiratory volumes, we have to get the respiratory capacities. Once again, see children, very important. Respiratory volumes and respiratory capacities, very, very important. So respiratory volumes is the first one is tidal volume. Tidal volume is the amount of the volume of air a normal person inhale or exhale during normal inspiration and expiration is called tidal volume. That is, a person can inspire or exhale only the tidal volume is 500 ml. Tidal volume 500 ml. But a person, a healthy human being can inspire or expire, the tidal volume may be ranges from 6000 ml to 8000 ml. Inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume is maximum volume of air a person inspires after forced expiration. Maximum volume of air a person can inspire after forced expiration is called inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume ranges from 2500 ml to 3000 ml. Next one is expiratory reserve volume. Expiratory reserve volume is maximum volume of air a person can exhale. A person can exhale after forced inspiration. In additional to the tidal volume is called expiratory reserve volume. Expiratory reserve volume ranges from 1000 ml to 1100 ml. Next one is residual volume. Residual volume is the volume of air which is present inside the lungs after expiration. After expiration is called residual volume. So residual volume is ranges from 1000 ml to 1200 ml. So now you will see how these respiratory capacities can be extracted from respiratory volume. So how we will get respiratory capacities, or what is the use of respiratory capacity? Respiratory capacities are nothing but the capacity of a lung. We can find the capacity of a lung by to find the respiratory disorders. What are the respiratory, different kinds of respiratory disorders are there? To find whether the lungs are functioning well or not, we will apply the respiratory volumes to find out the respiratory capacity. So respiratory volumes are applied, our respiratory volumes are used in the respiratory capacities. To extract the respiratory capacities, respiratory volumes are applied. Where these respiratory volumes are applied, respiratory volumes are applied to extract the respiratory capacities in clinical laboratories. In clinical laboratories, what are applied laboratories? In laboratories, what are applied? Respiratory volumes are used to extract respiratory capacities. What is the use of respiratory capacity? The use of respiratory capacity is to find out the respiratory disorders by extracting the respiratory capacities. we can find the respiratory disorders. So respiratory disorders can be found in the clinical laboratories by extracting the respiratory capacity. So we will see what are the respiratory capacity. So the first respiratory capacity is inspiratory capacity. Inspiratory capacity. Again, I am saying, children, very important. Inspiratory capacity. So the inspiratory capacity, how to calculate inspiratory capacity? So before calculating, what is meant by inspiratory capacity? Inspiratory capacity is the amount of, that is the amount of air a person can inspire, the amount of air a person can inspire after normal expiration is called inspiratory capacity. What is meant by inspiratory capacity? The amount of air a person can inspire. A person can inspire during normal expiration. Normal expiration. During normal expiration is called inspiratory capacity. So how to find inspiratory capacity? Inspiratory capacity can be calculated by, that is inspiratory capacity is equal to tidal volume plus normal inspiration, normal expiration is, that is the inspiratory reserve volume. By calculating the tidal volume with inspiratory reserve volume, we can extract the inspiratory capacity. What is meant by inspiratory capacity? The total amount of air a person can inspire after normal expiration is called inspiratory capacity. So how to calculate inspiratory capacity is, this is IC, inspiratory capacity is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve. Already we have seen what is tidal volume. Tidal volume is 500. Tidal volume is 500 ml. What is inspiratory reserve volume? Inspiratory reserve volume we have seen, it ranges from 2500 ml to 3000. So we will add 2500 ml, or you can add 3000 also. So total we get 3000 ml. So inspiratory capacity ranges from 3000 ml to 3500 ml. This is the inspiratory capacity.